All right, thank you very much for joining us. We are live here on Akasem Television. As I said, my name is Asunaba Nananoche. I'm actually a fantastic host for this weekend edition at Akasem Television, live here, as we are giving you all the dimensions when it comes to issues relating to your health. As I already said, we are at the Winneba Health Center. We are learning a lot when it comes to adolescent reproductive health. And as I said, Health on the Street is being sponsored by EMB Production and then Kitos Arts Publicity. Now there are some other people who are really serving as backbone to today's edition, and Mr. David J.F. Mensah, he is actually the executive chairman, Heavenly Jewelry Choral. He's really supporting us. We say God richly bless you for your massive support. And then Mr. Jacob Seth Arthur is also an executive director, Heavenly Jewelry Production, Heavenly Jewelry Choral. He is also serving us there. We thank you very much for your massive support. Now, without wasting much time, and then we'll go straight to one of the social canker, which is really dealing with us when it comes to the setting within even Central Region. I must say, it's teenage pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy. That is one of the key things that is really deepening our progress and then really affecting us as individuals and then of course as a nation. So we'll get to know more about who a teenager is, and then what do we term by the statement teenage pregnancy, and then what are the things that really goes in there when it comes to teenage pregnancy. So we still go to Mrs. Gifty Sam Bennett, who is still the principal community health nurse, who is also coming to educate the public on teenage pregnancy. And so, Mrs., when we say a teenager, who is a teenager?
A teenager is a female from the ages of 10 to 19. As we say, 10, 11, that's they are in their teens.
Okay.
So a female getting pregnant in that age, we call it as a teenager.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean that you should be within the ages of 13 to 19 before you term a teenage pregnancy, but from the ages of 10 to 19 we term as a teenager.
As that female starts to menstruate and she gets pregnant along that age, that's from 10 to 19, that female is a teenager.
Yeah, it's a teenager. And so when you intend to have an affection at that period and then there's pregnancy, that's where we term as a teenage pregnancy. It has become a social problem. And what's your take on it?
It's because of this teenage pregnancy, in the adolescent health is being brought to the Ghana Health Service to help females from that age to attain their education and to go forward. So we being the health workers, we have adolescent clubs in the various schools in our municipalities, in which we visit them weekly. So when we go, we educate them on how they can get pregnant. But being an active and in sex, you have to educate this female to abstain. Because not getting pregnant alone, you can even bring some infections into your health. STI. Like the STIs, which can help you, can destroy you in future. So during adolescent visits, we try to educate the children to abstain themselves from sex so that they don't get into pregnant. And being in that age, you can be a teenage mother. When you are a teenage mother, you yourself, you cannot take care of yourself. So you bring a lot of problems and issues into your family. So we give them education on how to prevent themselves from getting pregnant. And our main education that we give them is to abstain. And you have to let the child to understand why she should abstain from sex until she has grown. Because not getting pregnant alone, you can get other diseases that will destroy even your womb. And when you are ready to get pregnant, you will not get it. So it's better to wait till you are old enough to carry a pregnancy.
Okay.
Before you can give birth.
Okay. So, like, one of the things people often say when we were growing is abstinence is always the best choice. It was indeed difficult for others. Others too had the opportunity to go through it before, you know, they grew up and then. But, you know, one of the things that has really become common lately is our constitution grants that if you are 18 years, you are matured enough. And a lot of people have that perception in their headsets that, you know, when you are grown, when you are at the age of 18, then of course you are grown. You see, the country sees that you are matured enough to take certain initiatives. Now people feel that at the age of 18, you have the opportunity to vote, and then a lot of people within that age enter into secondary school and the rest, and so they feel they are matured enough. So how do we explain to them that yes, though you are within the age of 16, per the law, some at the age of 16 can even get married, and so how are we going to explain to them that yes, per that age you can get married, you can go through that angle of your life, but you need to adhere to certain things that will help you to grow as an adolescent growing up. Okay.
You know, in our country, like Ghana, as we are in it right now, even if you are 18, by the age of 18, you will still be living with your parents.
Sure.
And you don't even decide for yourself. There are a lot of things that your parents decide for you. So at that stage, you cannot you cannot get pregnant. Even when the laws and the rules in the country says you are 18, you are matured enough to vote. Voting aspect is different from your health. A female may be 18 years, and according to health conditions, she cannot give birth at that age. So not for any complication to set in during your pregnancy and during delivery, it's better for you to be out of teen before you get pregnant, so that you can cater for your children. And at times, a lady may be pregnant for that tender age. Having no knowledge about it, he will just go and deliver and leave the baby somewhere. For that baby to be a social burden to the whole public. So for the girl to get married before that girl can get pregnant, it's better. That will prevent you from any side health issues like the STIs and then the HIV, which is more serious than all the infections, because all the infections can be treated, but with the HIV, it cannot be treated. And we also want our ladies to be our future ladies. So that and the threatened abortion and the things will all come down. Because when a teenager is pregnant, she decides to hide it from the parents, not letting the parents know that that child is pregnant. So she will take advice from anywhere. Maybe when you take this pregnancy will come, and when you take that, the child may end up losing her life. So it's better for you to grow up so that you have your own work to do and your own husband, and you get pregnant. That is better for you.
All right. So viewers, as we already know of this, now it is always important for us to know our adolescents very well, and of course our teenagers very well. We get to know how physically they change, and of course we consider the way they think, their social, and of course our psychological and emotional status of adolescents are all considered and seen as very vital. It doesn't necessarily mean they are growing beards, they are having protrude breasts, and then of course that's all about adolescents. But we need to also dive in more when it comes to the emotional state, which is very, very, very important. And so teenagers, as we already know, that it doesn't necessarily mean that it should be within the ages of 13 to 19, but we are made to understand that so far as you begin your menstrual cycle, within the ages of 10 to even 19, you stand a chance of getting pregnant when you come closer to someone who produces this sperm to the body. And then one of the things we are also going to consider short on that is the issues as to which teenagers are forced into these things, and they end up getting frustrated. Some don't have that power to see it, because in a way they get it from even a teacher or maybe they might also get it from maybe a close relative. Some even go an extent of causing incest, where they sleep with their parent, and it becomes a bit challenging to them. And so we'll also go into that angle and know how an adolescent will have to cope with that. And then, is there any other alternative as health practitioners who assist them when they enter into a state of that's despair, where they are being forced to have an affection with their teachers? Some also have an affection with parents, relatives, and I mean close neighbors and the rest. Auntie Gifty, situations like that, you know, how do we cope with it?
So yeah, your co schools sir. You would me be a no schools so come. Share school for no kwala. Amo apo me dim ene omo adwin so ene so hia. Akwala owo mfie a ya bobo so 10 ekopem 19 mu. Eni adwin bi kase bi woni tirimu a otumi dwen ma ne ho sabi ohun de eye ma no. E na time de eye ma no. Nti panin bi to me you see sir adwene ewa akwala no fa so de ye ne mabone kire akwala no sure nti say yakọ school no mu a yetumi ma nkwala no tetire ye mbamba ayiwa no ye mo munya adwen bi se wo hu panin bi na panin no ye na adwen se obesuso wanufu mu ene wo sebi oba obeso wutu ena was ate kansa mu aye da kire wo hu ye fo me pesa me ye fine ene nsem bi sa no a wo gidie wo teacher mu a wo betumi aka akire no anasa wo maame enkwala omo ye adolescent aye from omo pagidie e wo panin bi mu obetumi di bibie nani asi ne so se saa panin no me kama sam kire na obeboa mo omo mpese obeka na asam akire wo na obekọ akọka akire obi nti ya obrofo kasa bi se ma akwala no nya confidentiality bi e wo wu kire ni na anasa maame no mu a nani da wo so a otumi kasa asam na kire wo nti se teacher ni anasa opening bi wo akwala no potem na waye na adwen se one akwala no bedi mpenguro bi saa no na akwala ni nya na obeka kire wo a wo so be sha akwala no ebi wo ho kra na akofa nyinsen aba saa panin no esa wo ma asotwebrem eto da bi a ye nurse fo na ye dwuma no se ye be sha akwala na apom den no eno nya ne ye nsem kase ye frɛ ye mianum social welfare fo ena social welfare fo so edi saa kasa na chi amanye enti say ye akwanhie bi won kwala no ho saa efa na saa mpre won yinse no ho a panimu bi a obetumi awo akwala no bana so ye saa social welfare fo na ya omobuan e wo saa anamontuo no
oh okay so in situations like that you know say bia obehwe adebako a it's a bit you know say abomination within our culture setting say bia papa ne babada mostly they intend to terminate is there any other better way and situations like that you more handle
oh yeah aswe apomedi aswe bia no ye won hihye efa saa de no
okay
na ansa na saa oyele beba ewe ebusuan mu no sa akwala no maame ne papa omobem yen nesefo ne de ye beye bibi a ye de bobo akwala no ho ban a enkofa ho mre no ba wontumi mfa obi de hie mfi beebi embeye bibi manu a wo bra na wofo enim ho hwe enti ye wo emboa wo yapom de aso ye bia yen nesefo ne ye paniama ye twitwa no esinsini pa a ya to ne din se kak no ye de babrofo kasema e comprehensive abortion care
okay
ya no comprehensive abortion care and it say bibi papa ebata ho
okay
se akwala akwafa saa ohaw no mu a na ye de ne ba ye mpese akwala na nkasa ne be ma na one ne ye no be hyehye ho apedro bi ama no a esunsanso no ede owuo beba nti empempi ye ne awofo no be kasa se omomfa saa akwala no embra ya so ye bia oba ya so ye bia ye wo kwan papa bi a ye be fa so a yeba masa anyinsen ni efiri ho na ansa na yeba masa anyinsen ni efiri ho so yeba hwa akwala no na po meden ansa na yebetumi ya eyi yefunu na efi ho ama wa na nyesa yefunu no so wo ba ya na yeyi efiri ho ama ansa na yeba yi yefunu na efi ho ma na saa peninu wasai akwala no nti wa ma akwala na hu saa mpenimfo empemu agro ni di nti sa wa mfa bambo bia so amba akwala no ho a akwala no besan akofa saa ba na mbe yesa wo koba pe na ya fa kwa mi so abo esa ebeka ho nti ye ne akwala na be kasa na ye ne awofo no so akasa na ansa na ye beboa no e na ye funu no aba akwala no ho ne enyinye brofo no ye be kasa ye funu no enya 12 weeks ansa na ye betumi aye ho bibi that is 3 months and the ebetumi aboa akwala no ho na enumpo be depend e wo akwala no na po me den ho say ya de ade nsunsuanso bɔ ne bi be bra akwala na eye maame no akwala na wafa yefunu no a ye saade no ma no but ye hwa akwala na po me den na de ne bibia ene ne haw bia nkofa ho mba de a ene ye won boa yetumi de boa e wo saa akwan no so e wo yaso ye bia ha
Okay, and so CAC no, it's a comprehensive abortion care, and they render that services for those within the month of 3 and below. Yes. So 3 months below, now only to me and so I think that is a good one because it will bring those kind of palano biakofe drone now we near that it will bring it down. Now, how about situations where if you're not currently they are not to many no now brought 3 months, so 4 months, 5 months going. Now so a currently instances of a say or terminate baby now and now Ibusiano home job they still want to terminate that now. With situations like that, how do we do it?
Situation like this, Yan abomedian so bia nurse fo aye wo ha no ya adwuna aye ba boa ne maame ne awofo no eye akwala na papa ne maame ne se sanka betumi a omoma yefun no nka na still awofo ne akwala no insist dia and they say ye refer omo ekohu gynecologist ye ka gynecologist e wo yedwuma mu a kire doctor owo nimidi efa oba nyinse hu na wodie mu niema hu sania ono betumi ahwe akwala no aisa ye bekasa wa asese akwala ni ye ahwe se yefuna etumi anya busumi num ni nsia wa akwala hu a e de ohawa ba ebusu no mu ye betumi afasa yefuna efiwa ene de e be free aso ye ha bia na ye be hu ye be hwe so na ye hu se wo be free ha kọ ekohu gynecologist ne ye ba ma wo krata edi adanse ese sa asam na di nka ba ya so ye ha bia ansa na ye de ama gynecologist no a o hwe mba wodie mu ene mba yefunu fa ho no na ye de wa ama doctor no na doctor no ato aso wo ho wo bra ye ne maame na aka ene akwala na wafa yefunu aka eyie entumi amba no ene ye de beto sa doctor na o hwe mba awodie no.
And of course, and as a manner and a way, they really go through a lot of stress when you get pregnant at that age.
Yes.
And sometimes one of the things that is so hurting and very, very hurting to them is the situations where more a man are faithful and they intimidate them. One said, "Okay, we now boy do we switch robia see never yo and yet." And controbia, it should be within us. And situations like that, and Kwalano find it difficult because of that fear now that show mono. And so, how do you go about it? Situations like that, Makoya and when they intend to cause that fear in them, and until they are not having that confidence to tell the problem they are going through. But you know, in your chronomoniska, no the school, or to entire mano, or to Janemano, or the Neko Cinema Center, and yeah, when this time they are very common. They just pick you in a car, then they move around. In situations like that, they don't have that confidence because of that fear now that show. So how do we deal about that one?
Banasa, a major ya dim pa. Now so akwala no nempa ehia. Enti ni na be gina kasa kire so. Okay. E na afi so wo ma akwala na ehu sa tibia no wo mu e hawa e betumi de abra no. Ananso nsanso bi obetumi de abra no ekire no a waye pani no opesa obo ne bra no ese wo ma akwala no hu e na afi so ese wo ahwo akwala no ma hu se enye time bi na wo time no na mbo wo pani yeye nti na wo pese wo boa no no na de obesusu ho akire no wa ma akwala no ate ase se ebe ye wo ne akwala no mpantem enkomodie enkwala omo wo sa age no omo mpe asam a oka kire wa na wo so akaka na suma asam bi akire obi foforo nti sa wo ma akwala no nya sa agidie wo mu a akwala no be pene so na waka no kure a ewo ohaw no mu ina akire wo na wo so ahu kwan a wo be fa so na wo de aboa no. Okay,
all right, thank you very much. So we are live here on Akesem Television. As I already said, we are still Health on the Streets. Today we are privileged to be at Winneba Health Center, and we are learning a lot when it comes to adolescent reproductive health. As I said, Health on the Streets is being sponsored by EMB Production. My name is Asunaba Nananochi. We'll go for a short commercial break. When we return, we'll get the last session of today's segment. Thanks for joining.
And now what's you need into Akasem TV? Na hanso de wo hwe nyoma na ohunu nyoma nim ye biabia nyoma so e de nyoma tatwadie mu ntuma mu nyina ekyerɛw na hanso de ye yisi ni twa eni si ni twam adwuma na wo yisi ni twa ase anko si ni twam Akasem TV nyoma ne ni so so e from China. Stay tuned.
Thanks so much for joining us on AKSM TV, Health on the Street, being sponsored by EMB Production. And of course, today we are still learning a lot about adolescent reproductive health and then teenage pregnancy. Now we are closing the curtain, but a quick good, we'll have a quick appreciation for Mr. David Jabo, who is the MFO at the Municipal Assembly in Efutu municipality. We say a very, very, very good and then thank you very much for supporting the production, and we say God richly bless you so much for supporting the entire production, and then wherever you founded us, the Lord in his own wisdom will also put in more there. We will also go in on the last session of today's episode, and it's about the job constraints. What are the difficulties our nurses do face when it comes to issues relating to adolescent reproductive health, and then a bit of education that will be given to our cherished viewers. Inti da ya kan no ho behia say you nyoma mu kom titrumpo so mo ye adwuma so mo ye nurse for e de bia den de anso wankwa nurse for no muntumi ntwom ho enfree duma no ho ade na wo se adwuma obo ade ade a kyew mo afi no ye besen akọ education anase nkyekire a ode bemma awofo na afi omo hwe nyina se wo ba e wo dame age no within 10 to 19 years ekwan a eselfa ho na wutumi hwe na akola na brabo no ekoso wano dachi bi a blow to you, but obeying for so dear, Adama or my Ghana, and I feel we same Auntie Sam Bennett, Gifty, principal community nurse, Auntie Senaya Kano, Yana, Edubia Eden. I consider Ben Yana Munya, oh, Jumano, Titu, and I said more the duty, ama adolescent for.
Yo, I consider the bebre na ya yeshia enso to de bia na ya fa ne so mo ye nuanu manketwa ntima ya mfa saa akwanhia na ewa adwuma no mu no to na still ayen kwaso na ye de ye mbo e bi te say maame no adolescent ni parent no ya ka saa efa no oba wo ba mu ne saa ne ma na kire no a maame no se ye se nkwala no I say yama akwala ne usa wonim say ye bibiri mu ha de sa woni akwala wo na wo koka ene me bi efa mba ndemu ne oba ne ho da ho adegya ne sa ne ma na ate say wo say akwala ne nte to da bi ane me bi wo ho a wo kaka kira akwala na mo kofie ba na ma me mpese ekuo na ayate na akwala no wo mu mpo akwala ne beba bio efisa akwala na start bisa no nsem bi a ono maame no enka nkire no da
okay
nte say ba no sa akwala bi o de complain ate sa baba no yekọ ne maame ho ene ne kwakasa se enye boapa yesa akwala no emu akwala ne yie die mu eni nti na yepe no nti eye mboa ye de bo akwala no ama akwala no school na okọ na obọ ho ka no da chi aye mfa so ama ebusua no nti ebi mu ti ase ebi mu so nti ase ba dodo no a na omunnim na wo ka omuti ase na omukura mpo da wasese wo yes ama ne ba but omo a eye omo de no ntiase anim no na bi o ha ye de asamna to assemblyman a owo omo mpotamu anim na assemblyman fo no so aboan am wa kyerɛkyerɛ mu akyerɛ mu sɛ enye ha ba tu bi ye tumi hia de a eso pa o se ono a na ode ne ba o ma ne ba na mba sa antibia na etisa no enipa bi sa no ye gya no ma ne mbre say ohun ne mba no etipenfo na so omo kọ abrabo bi mu na ya say obenya enuhu no de ne ba na aba no yen so oba ye bunfu ye beje na atu na de ehia say ye kire na ya kire okay enso so kase so ya ha yen say ye wo communities ni bi mu wo ho a nhweso a wo ho no enye nhweso pa na nkwala no ti sa kwala bi wo community bi etesa mu a eye den ma ye papa sa kwala no wenhu biribi dada enti de awo beka hye ne tirimu bia eye den se ebefa nanso yegusu aye se ebeye
okay enti within your more about 1 minute education ben and church ben and odoma ahwefo a omo ehwen me about adolescent reproductive health just about 30 seconds. Then I'll catch our for. Okay. Then I'll catch a school for. Then I'll catch a teacher for. And I'm almost shame now.
Yo. The America our phone say, Ebatete, Dimpa. Titru Aquala would do sa adolescent. In Fienumuno. Assembly of a baby Saubia, Wate. No person who no cry, a womb. Into na obebisa maame no into sa wo ba ebisa won sembia efa ne mba mu ena mpaso agrodi ene sa nyama na eya abotre kire no de eye no kora no na twe ne ho fili ho na maninya ntiase se e won bira odu a obetumi aye sa nyama na obisa bisa ho asem ba man ka bibi enka no nhye wan ka no kora na waka na ahye no obekọ ekogbisa obi a onka asempa mfankyere no a enkofa nhwe sopa emfembre ebusua no daachi enti hia be hia se obi bibiara oye obatan no onya abotrema adolescent nkwala no na omunim ansa na omu ebisa wo enti da meka me de ahye abatan enkran no eno ne se wo ba ewo adolescent mfie mu a eye abotre ene akrokro ene gidi a wo ba mama wo ba enya wo mu so onya sa gidi na bibia ni ho bi ba ka kire no a on bebo wo awofo no amande.
Okay, and then my Gifty Sam Bennett, principal nurse, your better media so under was so copa so when you're mre any I chat some to say they say yankopon inshaw so when you're mrepa and the abesumye until the corona ambienti he generally say all right. So thank you very much my cherished viewers for being with us on this wonderful weekend edition of Health on the Street, being sponsored by EIB Production and of course Keto's Arts. As I said, that a quick shout out to Mr. David Ejefi Mensah, who is the executive chairman of Heavenly Jewelry Jewels Coral, and Mr. Jacob Set Atta, executive director Heavenly Jewels Coral, and also Ebejina Media Swad and Assessor Kopa, and Mr. David Jabo, MFO at the Winneba Municipal Assembly. Afi yabo for mo ebo yechidom, and afi omo ahwe dwumedie so manakoso wano and afi Ebejina so ada production team no omo ambeboy ma dwumedie no ekoso kama on the camera Makati Ando ono cameraman pa na the obo yechidom anasa assistant Emmanuel Birmingham ono assistant on my camera no kama and afi production manager there boss back up Kofi Akwa Samson ono the Alinko me am the dwumedie chairman me dey usumfo asonaba na anoche na kan no dwumedie wo pese de bia no wo hye na yakoso etite nkofo ema mo nkyerekye fedia de srew fa adibia wo pese wo de bo oba na yebo mu dewuro no fa bra na yemo dewuro na wo pese wo yase a kwan wo ho numbers no a good screen no numbers no a good screen no so no obetumi aba na afi wa ba be se na kan no YouTube no Akasem TV obetumi subscribe o ya na press bell no se na be a video bi aba quickly no when alert and on our friends saying so on Facebook too, you can follow us on Akasem TV and of course on Instagram too, Akasem official and on Twitter Akasem official and then you see there papa after pomidin home the adolescent. The key thing is that abstinence is always the best choice. My name is Asunaba Nananoche. You can call me Asunaba the MC. Thanks for joining us. God willing, next weekend we'll dive in more and give you more about health on the street. Thank you so much.